The town that disappeared overnight, the true story of Centralia, Pennsylvania. Have you ever heard of a town that burned for 60 years, and is still burning today? Beneath the quiet hills of Pennsylvania lies one of the strangest, most haunting real-life mysteries in American history, the town of Centralia, a once bustling mining community that quite literally vanished from the map because of an underground fire that refuses to die. The story begins in 1962, on a warm May morning. Centralia was a small coal mining town, home to about 1,400 people. Kids played in the dusty streets, miners worked long hours underground, and the air always carried a faint smell of coal smoke. It was ordinary, hard-working America. No one knew that the ground beneath their feet was about to turn into a fiery inferno that would drive nearly every resident away forever. Like every year, the town prepared to clean up the local landfill before Memorial Day. The Centralia Council decided to burn the trash, a common and cheap solution in those days. On May 27, a few volunteer firefighters lit the pile on fire. The flames rose high, the smoke thickened, and then, something strange happened. The fire refused to go out. Days passed, then weeks. The firefighters sprayed water, dug trenches, dumped soil, yet the smoke kept rising. What they didn't realize was that the landfill sat atop an old coal seam that connected directly to miles of abandoned mining tunnels beneath the town. When the fire reached the coal veins, it found an endless supply of fuel. An underground inferno had begun. At first, people thought it was nothing serious. Centralia had seen small coal fires before. But soon, smoke started rising from the ground in random spots, out of backyards, roads, even basements. The smell of burning sulfur filled the air. The earth grew warm to the touch. By the late 1960s, cracks were appearing in streets, and pets disappeared into steaming holes that suddenly opened up. In 1979, Mayor John Coddington stuck a thermometer into the ground behind his gas station. The reading shot up to over 180 degrees Fahrenheit, 82 degrees Celsius. Something was very wrong. The real alarm came in 1981, when a young boy named Todd Dombowski, just 12 years old, was walking across his grandmother's backyard. Suddenly, the ground collapsed beneath him, opening a gaping sinkhole 150 feet deep and belching toxic smoke. He clung to a tree root until his cousin pulled him to safety. When scientists tested the air inside the hole, they found lethal levels of carbon monoxide. The town was literally poisoning itself from below. By then, the U.S. government had taken notice. Experts estimated the underground fire stretched across 8 miles and was burning through millions of tons of anthracite coal, one of the purest, hottest burning fuels on Earth. It could keep burning for 250 more years. The government tried to save Centralia. In the early 1980s, engineers proposed massive excavation plans to dig out the fire. But the cost was astronomical, $600 million, more than the value of the entire town. Finally, in 1984, Congress approved a $42 million relocation program. Families were offered money to leave. Slowly, house by house, Centralia emptied out. Some residents refused to go. They loved their town, their homes, their history. They didn't believe the fire was dangerous, or they simply had nowhere else to go. A few fought legal battles for years, claiming the danger was exaggerated. But the ground kept cracking, roads buckled, and smoke continued to rise. By the early 1990s, Centralia was nearly a ghost town. The U.S. Postal Service revoked its zip code, officially erasing it from maps. In 1992, Pennsylvania declared eminent domain over the remaining properties, forcing out the last holdouts. The buildings were demolished, leaving behind nothing but empty streets, overgrown trees, and the smell of sulfur in the wind. Yet, even that wasn't the end. A small group of residents, just 5 people, refused to leave. They became known as the Centralia holdouts. In 2013, after decades of fighting, they finally reached a settlement with the state. They could live out their lives in Centralia, but once they died, their properties would revert to the government. Today, Centralia's population is officially zero. The fire still burns underground, invisible yet unstoppable. Scientists estimate it has moved eastward and could continue smoldering for centuries. Trees grow crooked from the heat, and on cold mornings, steam still seeps from cracks in the earth. The eeriest part? Centralia inspired something you might already know. In 2006, the creators of the horror video game and movie Silent Hill visited the site. The haunting, foggy streets of that fictional cursed town were directly based on Centralia's abandoned, smoke-filled landscape. If you visit Centralia now, you'll find Graffiti Highway, the old Route 61, covered in colorful messages from travelers and urban explorers. But even that was closed in 2020, buried under dirt by the state to stop trespassers. What's left today is nature reclaiming what fire once took: weeds, cracked pavement, and the memory of a town that destroyed itself without a single explosion. The strangest part of all? Scientists still don't fully understand why the Centralia fire spread so fast, or why it's so resistant to extinction. Fires in coal seams can starve themselves of oxygen, but somehow this one found endless